Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome one and all to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. My name is Clayton Fletcher, and I am your host here in charming, scholarly Richland, Washington. Happy to be bringing you yet another episode of the world's longest running poker strategy podcast. Busy week for me on Twitter this week. People are all getting geared up for the World Series of Poker, and everyone's exchanging thoughts, ideas, schedules. What are you going to play? What are you going to play? What's a better value? This or that. Sharing the different databases that are out there. My personal favorite comes from Kenny Hallert, Spacey FCB on Twitter. But there are a number of resources that you can use to help you figure out your schedule for the upcoming summer of poker. I am very excited, probably as excited as I've ever been leading up to a WSOP. I literally can't wait. I'm planning to stream. I'm planning to stack on my Substack. I'm going to cast on my podcast. I'm going to do it all. And you are going to be right there along with me, hopefully rooting for me. But I know in some cases you will be like hate watching and hoping that I fall flat on my face. Anyway, thanks for being a hater. Everybody needs a hater. Anyway, I'm at Joker's in Richland, Washington this weekend. It's a really fun spot. I was there once before. I had a couple of great shows. It's a really good venue. There's even a little poker room. Yeah, there's a little casino. There's like a bowling alley and a pool hall and a video arcade. So there's lots to do at this complex in Richland, Washington. It's a really great town. And I just remember the audience being pretty sharp, like they got the jokes, and I didn't have to over-explain things, which is always a luxury as a comedian on the road. I hope some of you can make it. Come check out the show this weekend, April 17th and 18th in Richland. You can get your tickets for this and all of my shows at ClaytonFletcher.com. All right, let's get into strategy. Guys, we've got to talk about a hand that we introduced last week. It comes from day 3 of the 2025 WSOP Main Event. And this time I want to look at the same hand using GTO Wizard. Now, GTO Wizard is artificial intelligence. It's a solver. It's a training program. It's a practice module. It's a virtual coach that can help you find leaks in your game, and it's so easy to use. We're going to use it today to look at that hand again and see what a perfect robot who never makes a single mistake would have done in the shoes of one of the two Michaels. Yeah, that's right. This hand, as you may recall from last week, was a battle of the Michaels. It's Michael Zulker versus Michael Garner on day 3, not yet in the money of the main event. Blinds were 1,500 3K with a 3K big blind ante. And third to act, after 2 folds, Michael Zulker opens to 6,500 off of a stack of 190,000. And he's got the Jack of Diamonds, 10 of Diamonds. So Jack 10 suited. Many players say this is their favorite hand. Next to act in 4th position, we've got Michael Garner. And he wakes up with the Ace King offsuit, Ace of Spades, King of Clubs. And I remember saying last week, we obviously want to 3-bet in this spot with the Ace King offsuit. I thought it was obvious. Michael Garner thought it was obvious and 3-bet to 18,000, and it folded all the way back to Zulker, who calls. So, guys, I thought it was obvious. Everybody probably thought it was obvious. GTO Wizard says not so fast, Mr. Fletcher. The Wizard actually wants to call with this hand at this stack depth from this position about 41% of the time. So many of us look at that beautiful ace king and say, oh, what a great hand to build a pot with before the flop. maybe even get all in. It's never really that bad to get all in with ace-king, unless, of course, your opponent happens to have two of the remaining three aces, which is very hard mathematically. And obviously, three betting is not a mistake. In fact, it is the preferred play. But 41% of the time, we are supposed to mix in a call with this hand, which I'll admit was a surprise to me. Now, when it folds back to the Jack-10 suited, that's a pure call, facing a 3-bet right here, especially closing the action, right? So now there's 43-5 in the middle, and the flop comes queen of clubs, jack of clubs, deuce of clubs, queen, jack, deuce, all clubs, and Zalker checks, and then Garner decides to check, even though he's got two overcards, a king high, flush draw, and a gut shot. So Zalker has a range check. Now what this means is he is supposed to check all of his hands that he gets to this point with when this flop comes out. So there are no leads from out of position on this board for Michael Zalker. Michael Garner checked behind, but he's only supposed to do that 1% of the time. So it's practically a mistake. It's not negative EV to do it, so that's why we do include it as a minuscule part of an equilibrium solution. But there are other plays that make more money, so we're supposed to do them. So yeah, that was interesting. I thought it's okay to check it back. He's got a lot going on. He doesn't want to get check raised off his hand because he's not going to fold. You really can't fold when you have this much equity. And the other guy starts with 60 big blinds and yada yada. But no, we really shouldn't be checking. I mean, look, if the solver tells you to do something 1% effectively, you should probably do something else, okay? Anyway, there's still 43-5 in the middle when the turn comes out, the 9 of clubs, giving Michael Garner in position the king high flush, along with a gut shot straight flush draw. We love those. Now at this point, Zalker does have some leads. So whereas the flop, he had a range check, in this spot, when that 9 of clubs hits the turn, Zalker, who now has more information after having checked on the flop and seen Michael Garner check behind, he's got more information than he had on the flop. Now that the turn comes out, we can actually take a stab here some of the time, but we do check 81% of the times, though Michael Garner in position now doesn't even check it back 1% of the time. He's literally never supposed to check. So this is the first true blunder we've seen in this hand. Like you could say, well, he did the 1% play on the flop, but this time he's done something we're never supposed to do. When you get that flush, you've got to start building the pot and just hope that Zalker has something to call you with. And sure, we're going to have some bluffs here too to balance that out, obviously. Anyway, Garner does check behind, and now, still with 43,500 in the middle, the river comes the 10 of clubs, giving Michael Garner the straight flush. And Zalker now bets 35K into the pot of 43.5, which you know Michael Garner was pretty excited to see that bet come out. And to his credit, he took his time before raising. I didn't mention this last week, but Garner's raise was to 100K, which I honestly think is a bit small. We want to go bigger, I would assume. Like, what are we targeting with a small raise? Like, what can call a small raise on this board and not a big one? There aren't that many hands, so we might as well be optimistic and hope that our opponent also has a straight flush or perhaps the ace of clubs, which would probably have a pretty difficult time folding to any amount. But I digress. Let's look at Zalker, who decided to bet almost a full pot bet here on the river, which is a polarizing bet, as we discussed last week. The wizard actually never leads here with Zalker's hand. Like, if we didn't bet on the turn, remember we did have some leads on the turn, but if we opt out there, we're also supposed to opt out here, probably because Garner has so many high cards in his range that if he's got a flush, he's not going to fold a high card flush at this point. And if he doesn't have a flush, he would probably call for the chop, because the way this hand has gone down, it's pretty hard to really convince me that you have something when we've just been checking all the way through. The irony there is that Garner actually has the king high straight flush, but obviously Zolker didn't know that when he bet 35 into 43.5. The Wizard never makes that lead, and obviously he can't have Garner's hand because the Wizard, who I just called he for some reason, the Wizard doesn't ever check behind on 4th Street with this hand, so he can't have this hand when we get to this point, at least in theory. So I hope you guys enjoyed that discussion. I can get you a great deal if you want to try GTO Wizard for yourself. You can actually get a 24-hour free trial, and then when you're ready to buy, you'll save 10%, but only if you use my affiliate link, which is gtowizard.com/p/TPE. All right, let's move on to another hand, keeping up with the pattern here. You guys probably can guess. This week we're going to do a day 4 hand from the WSOP Main Event. This hand happens shortly after the money bubble has burst, but we're still at that min cash payout level of $15,000. The blinds at this point are 4K and 8K with an 8K big blind ante. So there is 20,000 in the pot as the cards are being dealt. And in this hand, the action folds around to a player by the name of Corey Wick. And Corey's in the hijack, and he's got 353,000 to start the hand, about 44 big blinds there. And he's got the Queen of Hearts, Jack of Spades. So do you want to open Queen Jack offsuit from the hijack? I'm sure you do. And Corey Wick does as well. He makes it 16,000 to go. And next to act is one of the best players in the world, Stephen Chidwick from jolly old England. And he makes the call. He's got us covered. He's got 550,000 behind. And he calls with a hand I am not going to reveal right away. I'll tell you at the end. So we can play along with Corey Wick. Everybody else folds. And now we're heads up, out of position, hero with the Queen of Hearts, Jack of Spades. 52,000 in the middle, and the flop comes Queen of Clubs, 9 of Spades, Tray of Spades. So Queen 9 Tray with 2 spades, hero with top pair, and a backdoor spade draw, as well as a backdoor straight draw, which I didn't notice a second ago. All right, so pretty good flop, I would say. And I think that the solver is going to agree. We can c-bet here when we flop this good. Go ahead and bet. And Wick bets 24,000 into the pot of 52,000. Stephen Chidwick makes the call. And now with 100,000 in the middle, and Wick has only 317 remaining in his stack, the turn comes the deuce of spades, completing the front door flush draw on a board of Queen of Clubs, 9 of Spades, Tray of Spades, Deuce of Spades. And now the question becomes, do we want to bet again, or should we check it over to Chidwick and let him take a stab at it, possibly try to control the pot in case he's got us beat with a flush or 2 pair or something like that? And I think checking is okay. I like to stay in control, especially when I do have that Jack of Spades in this situation. Why should you hand Stephen Chidwick the keys to the kingdom at this point, right? I mean, we are just as likely to have a flush as he is, I suppose. So we may as well represent that flush and also possibly get him to call with worse at least some of the time. Although at this point, I think we can agree we don't really have a 3 streets of value type of hand. So perhaps checking here, hoping Chidwick checks back and then a blank falls on the river and we can go for value at that point might be a reasonable strategy. I tend to bet again on this card, especially when I do have that Jack of Spades in my hand. However, Wick goes the other way. He checks, and now with 100K in the middle, Chidwick bets 75,000. So a chunky bet here, 3/4 pot. What do you want to do with Queen Jack? You do have the Jack of Spades. There are 3 spades. We've got top pair and a Jack high flush draw against a pretty tough opponent. I think if we just go around folding every time Chidwick puts the pressure on, we're going to really get killed at this table here on day 4. It's not a comfortable spot to be in, certainly, but with such a talented opponent, he's so capable of so many different moves and different strategies and different plays. I just think we have too much hand to let it go at this point. The only question is, do I want to see another spade or not at this point? And so we make the call, and now there's 250 in the middle, and Wick only has 242 behind, so just about a pot-sized bet remaining. And the river comes the 4 of hearts for a final board of Queen of Spades, 9 of Spades, Trey of Spades, Deuce of Spades, 4 of hearts, Queen 9, Trey, Deuce, 4, and action is on hero with a pair of queens. I think if we're going to check on the turn and call, we have to check on the river and just pray that Chidwick doesn't bet again so that we can turn over our queen, which is hopefully good. I don't see any value in betting, like trying for a blocker bet or a defensive bet of some kind here. Seems like a mistake. So I think this is a pretty clear check for my money on the river. Wick agrees, he checks, and now Chidwick takes a moment and then shoves enough to put us all in. What should I do with a pair of queens and a Jack of Spades kicker? I don't know. This is brutal. I mean, that Jack of Spades makes me more likely to call. It is the main event. We are in the money, but, you know, if we lose this pot, I mean, if we fold, we're still going to have 30 big blinds, so it's not like we're going to be in terrible shape. I just don't know. Like, really, when you have really tough, aggressive opponents and you're checking to them and you feel like they might be trying to bully you, it's really hard to get away from a reasonable hand. And it might not even be correct. So I guess on balance, I'm not loving this spot, but that Jack of Spades is enough for me to make the call. I guess that's probably what Corey Wick was thinking. He makes the call, and now I have to reveal that Stephen Chidwick wins this pot with the Ace of Spades, 4 of Spades. So on the flop, he's got a flush draw and doesn't raise with it. He just smooth calls the C-bet on the flop. And we have to do this once in a while, guys, so that our opponents can't rule out us having a flush, right? So if we always semi-bluff raise on boards like this one where a flush is possible, then when the flush comes in, our opponent can always put us on potentially having it. It's much more deceptive to occasionally mix in a call, especially with the ace high flush. I mean, that's the one the solver wants to raise the most often. So, I mean, you really have to hand it to Chidwick, mixing up his play, being deceptive, not doing what we would expect him to do with the hand we suspect he might have. And yeah, just really taking Corey Wick for a ride, just like he's taken so many players for so many rides over the years. And so Corey ends up min cashing in this event. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you once again to everyone who's been subscribing to our YouTube channel. It really means a lot. We appreciate it. Something you can do for free to help out the podcast. And for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas plays. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Luck and intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Can't read my baby. When it's love, it's not rough, it isn't fun.